What if I told you that the cheerful little green men we see on cereal boxes are actually hiding one of the darkest secrets in folklore history? You think you know leprechauns from movies and cartoons, but the real story behind these mythical creatures will change everything you thought you knew about Irish folklore. Today, we're diving deep into the twisted truth about leprechauns, their connection to ancient gods, and why the Irish feared them long before they became cute mascots. If you're ready to discover the dark side of folklore, hit that subscribe button and let's uncover the mystery together. Picture this. It's a misty evening in rural Ireland, centuries ago. The fog rolls thick across the Emerald Hills, and somewhere in the distance, you hear the steady tap, tap, tap of a tiny hammer against metal. Local villagers know that sound well, and they know to stay far away from it, because that rhythmic hammering doesn't belong to any human craftsman. It belongs to something far more dangerous. The leprechaun sits hunched over his workbench, his gnarled fingers moving with impossible precision as he crafts another perfect shoe. His eyes, ancient beyond measure, gleam with an intelligence that seems almost cruel. This is no jolly little helper. This is a creature that has witnessed the rise and fall of kingdoms, the birth and death of gods, and the endless cycle of human greed. Another one comes seeking gold, the leprechaun mutters to himself, sensing the approach of yet another foolish mortal. His lips curl into what might be called a smile, but there's no warmth in it. Only the cold satisfaction of someone who knows exactly how this encounter will end. The history of leprechauns stretches back over 1,000 years, woven into the very fabric of Irish mythology. But these weren't always the miniature cobblers we know today. The earliest tales speak of the Aus Sea, the people of the mounds, powerful fairy folk who ruled over the hidden places of Ireland. Among them were beings known as Leprechauns, a word that comes from the Old Irish luchorpan, meaning small body. These original leprechauns were not cute. They were not friendly. They were supernatural beings with power that could rival the gods themselves. Ancient Irish texts describe them as members of the Tuatha De Danann, the mystical race that ruled Ireland before the coming of mortals. When the Tuatha De Danann retreated to the other world, some remained behind, diminished in size, but not in cunning or magical ability. A young farmer named Seamus learned this lesson the hard way. In the hills of County Cork, sometime in the 16th century. He had heard the stories, of course, but desperation makes men do foolish things. His crops had failed 3 years running. His wife was with child, and winter was coming fast. The tapping sound led him to a grove of ancient oak trees. Their branches twisted into shapes that seemed almost like reaching hands. There, beneath the largest tree, sat a creature no taller than his forearm. The leprechaun wore a pointed red cap and a leather apron stained with years of work. His fingers moved like lightning as he stitched together a shoe of impossible beauty. "I know what you want," the leprechaun said, without looking up from his work. His voice was like the whisper of wind through dead leaves. "They all want the same thing: gold, gold, and more gold. Seamus felt his heart racing, but he forced himself to speak. "I have you now, little man. Everyone knows the rules. You must grant me 3 wishes, or show me your pot of gold." The leprechaun finally looked up, and Seamus immediately wished he hadn't. The creature's eyes were not the twinkling blue of children's stories. They were black as midnight, ancient as the stones beneath the earth, and filled with a malice that made Seamus's blood turn cold. 3 wishes, the leprechaun laughed, and the sound was like breaking glass. "Oh, mortal, you've been listening to the wrong stories. This is where the real truth about leprechauns begins to emerge. The 3 wishes, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, the jolly cobbler who grants good fortune to those clever enough to catch him. These are all corruptions of the original legends, sanitized versions created to hide a much darker reality. Real leprechauns, according to authentic Irish folklore, are bound by ancient laws that are far more complex and dangerous than simple wish-granting. They are connected to the very essence of the land itself, guardians of secrets that predate Christianity in Ireland. Their gold is not merely treasure. It is a physical manifestation of the life force of the earth, accumulated over millennia and protected by curses that can destroy entire bloodlines. The leprechaun stood up slowly, and Seamus noticed that the creature cast no shadow despite the bright moonlight filtering through the oak leaves. "You want to know about gold, farmer? Let me tell you about gold." The air around them began to shimmer, and suddenly Seamus was no longer in the grove. He stood in a vast underground cavern, its walls lined with veins of pure gold that pulsed with their own inner light. But this was not the cheerful treasure room of fairy tales. The gold seemed to writhe and move, and embedded within it, Seamus could see faces, human faces, twisted in eternal agony. "Every piece of leprechaun gold," the creature explained, his voice echoing strangely in the cavern, "is paid for with a human soul. We are not gift givers, farmer. We are collectors. And what we collect is not coins or jewels. We collect the very essence of mortal life." The vision shifted, and Seamus saw the truth behind centuries of leprechaun encounters. Men and women throughout history, drawn by greed or desperation, making bargains they didn't understand with beings they couldn't comprehend. Each transaction left the human a little less alive, a little more hollow, until eventually they became nothing more than echoes of themselves, their souls trapped forever in the leprechaun's golden hoard. This connection between leprechauns and soul-stealing appears throughout Irish folklore, though it's often hidden beneath layers of later interpretation. The original Irish word for what leprechauns do is not wish-granting, but geash, binding, the practice of placing supernatural obligations or curses upon mortals. These geash were not simple trades, but complex magical contracts that could span generations. In the 12th century, Gerald of Wales wrote about encounters with what he called dwarfish people, who could manipulate reality itself, but demanded prices that went far beyond material wealth. Medieval Irish manuscripts speak of the Leprechauns as weavers of fate, beings who could alter the course of human destiny. but only in exchange for pieces of the human soul. "But I have a family," Seamus whispered, his voice barely audible in the vast golden cavern. "Surely you understand that. Surely there's some compassion in you." The leprechaun's expression didn't change. "Compassion? I am older than your Christ, farmer. I watched the Druids offer human sacrifices to gods your people have forgotten. I saw the Vikings burn your monasteries and the Normans crush your kings. Compassion is a luxury I discarded long ago." The creature began to circle Seamus, his footsteps making no sound on the cavern floor. "But I am not without business sense. You want gold to save your family? I can give you gold. More gold than you could spend in 10 lifetimes. Your wife will want for nothing. Your children will be wealthy beyond measure. Your grandchildren's grandchildren will never know poverty." "What's the price?" Seamus asked, though part of him already knew the answer would be terrible. "Simple," the leprechaun replied. "You give me your joy. All of it. Every moment of happiness you might have experienced for the rest of your life, I take now. You will live. You will provide for your family. You will be successful in all your endeavors. But you will never again feel the warmth of contentment, the pleasure of a job well done, the simple happiness of watching your children play. That belongs to me now." This type of bargain reflects the true nature of leprechaun magic, as described in authentic Irish sources. They don't simply grant wishes. They manipulate the fundamental forces that govern human existence: joy, sorrow, hope, despair, love, hatred. These are the currencies that leprechauns trade in, and they are far more valuable than any earthly treasure. The 17th century Irish text, known as the Acalam na Senorach, describes leprechauns as merchants of the spirit, beings who can provide anything a human desires, but always at the cost of something essential to human nature. The gold they offer is real, but it comes with a spiritual emptiness that grows deeper with each passing day. Seamus closed his eyes, thinking of his pregnant wife waiting at home, of the empty larder and the approaching winter. When he opened them again, his voice was steady. "I accept." The leprechaun smiled, and for the first time, there was genuine warmth in his expression. But it was the warmth of a predator who had just secured his prey. "Excellent. The contract is sealed." The cavern vanished, and Seamus found himself back in the oak grove. At his feet lay a leather pouch, heavy with gold coins. But already he could feel the change beginning. The beauty of the moonlight seemed muted. The fresh smell of the earth meant nothing to him. The relief he should have felt at solving his family's problems was simply absent. Over the following months, Seamus became the most successful farmer in his district. His crops grew larger and more abundant than anyone had ever seen. His livestock multiplied and thrived. Gold seemed to flow toward him like water flowing downhill. His wife gave birth to healthy twins, and they wanted for nothing. But Seamus felt none of it. He watched his children take their first steps with the detached interest of a stranger observing someone else's life. His wife's laughter sounded like meaningless noise. Food had no taste. Music had no melody. and even the physical warmth of the sun on his skin felt like nothing more than a change in temperature. Years passed, and the bargain held. Seamus's family prospered beyond their wildest dreams, but the man himself became like a walking ghost. His neighbors began to notice the change, how he never smiled anymore, never seemed to take pleasure in anything, how his eyes had become as cold and empty as winter stones. This is the real legacy of leprechaun encounters, according to Irish folklore. Not the cheerful wish fulfillment of modern stories, but slow spiritual death in exchange for material success. The leprechauns are not evil in the way humans understand evil. They are simply operating according to their own ancient nature, as foreign to human morality as the deep ocean is foreign to the sky. The transformation of leprechauns from these terrifying supernatural entities into cute mascots began during the 19th century, as Irish immigrants brought their folklore to America. Faced with discrimination and stereotyping, many Irish Americans began to reshape their cultural stories to seem less threatening and more palatable to their new neighbors. The leprechaun's red clothing became green to match the American stereotype of Irish color. Their supernatural power was reduced to simple wish granting. Their connection to the ancient gods was forgotten entirely, replaced with harmless cobbling and pot-of-gold legends that could sell breakfast cereal and attract tourists. But in the remote corners of Ireland, among the oldest families who still remember the old ways, the true stories persist. They tell of encounters that happened as recently as the 20th century, of desperate people who ventured into the wild places seeking leprechaun gold, and returned, changed in ways that went far deeper than simple wealth or poverty. In 1943, during the worst of World War II rationing, a woman named Bridget O'Sullivan claimed to have met a leprechaun in the hills outside Galway. She had been searching for her brother, reported missing in action, when she heard the familiar tapping sound echoing from an ancient ring fort. "I know why you're here," the leprechaun told her, his voice carrying the weight of centuries. "You want to know if he's alive. You want to know if he's coming home." Bridget nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Please, he's all the family I have left." "I can show you," the creature replied. "I can show you exactly where he is, what happened to him, whether he lives or dies. But the knowledge will cost you something precious. Are you prepared to pay?" "Anything," Bridget whispered. "I'll give you anything." The leprechaun's ancient eyes gleamed in the twilight. "Your ability to forget, pain, trauma, grief, loss, the human mind's capacity to heal by letting go of what hurts. I will take that from you. Every terrible thing that has ever happened to you, every sorrow yet to come, you will remember with perfect, unending clarity for the rest of your days." This reveals another aspect of leprechaun magic that appears consistently in authentic Irish folklore. They don't just trade in gold or material goods. They manipulate the fundamental aspects of human psychology, memory, emotion, and perception. The prices they demand cut to the very core of what makes us human. Bridget agreed to the bargain, and the leprechaun showed her a vision of her brother, wounded but alive in a German prison camp, destined to survive the war and return home. The knowledge brought her immense relief, but as promised, it came with a terrible cost. For the rest of her life, every moment of pain she had ever experienced remained as fresh and sharp as the day it happened. The death of her parents when she was 12 felt as raw at 60 as it had at the time. Every slight, every disappointment, every moment of fear during the war years remained perfectly preserved in her memory, as vivid and painful as fresh wounds. When her brother did return home, she felt the joy of reunion, but she also simultaneously experienced every day of worry and fear she had lived through while he was gone. Bridget lived to be 93 years old, and neighbors said that in all those years after her encounter with the leprechaun, they never once saw her face free from the shadow of remembered sorrow. These stories reveal the true nature of leprechauns in Irish folklore. They are not magical helpers or sources of good fortune. They are ancient beings who exist according to rules and motivations that are fundamentally alien to human understanding. They offer what humans want most desperately, but they do so in ways that ultimately reveal the terrible cost of getting exactly what we ask for. The leprechaun's magic operates on the principle that everything in the universe has a price, and that price must always be paid. They cannot create something from nothing. They can only transfer qualities from one being to another, redistribute fortune and misfortune, shift the balance of joy and sorrow from person to person across time and space. When a leprechaun grants wealth, that wealth must come from somewhere, must be taken from someone. When they provide knowledge, they must extract an equivalent amount of innocence or peace of mind. When they offer power, they demand an equal measure of humanity in return. Modern leprechaun stories have forgotten this fundamental truth. They present the creatures as simple genies, bound by easily understood rules, and motivated by recognizably human concepts of fairness and reciprocity. But the original leprechauns were never bound by human morality. They were forces of nature, as indifferent to human suffering as a tornado or an earthquake, but far more intelligent and vastly more dangerous. The real tragedy is not that leprechauns are evil, but that they are utterly honest. They never lie about the prices they demand or the consequences of their bargains. Humans simply choose not to understand what they're agreeing to, blinded by desperation or greed, or the comforting belief that magic should work the way it does in children's stories. In the end, every authentic leprechaun encounter in Irish folklore carries the same message. Be careful what you wish for, not because you might not get it, but because you almost certainly will. And when you do, you'll discover that the price of getting exactly what you want is becoming exactly who you never wanted to be. The next time you see a leprechaun on a cereal box or in a movie, smiling his cheerful smile and offering his pot of gold, remember the real stories. Remember Seamus, who got all the wealth he needed but lost his ability to enjoy any of it. Remember Bridget, who got the knowledge she craved but could never again forget a single moment of pain. The leprechauns are still out there, in the wild places where ancient magic lingers, waiting for the next desperate soul to come seeking easy answers to life's hardest problems. They're patient, these creatures. They have all the time in the world, and they know that no matter how many cautionary tales are told, there will always be another human willing to trade away pieces of their soul for the illusion of a perfect solution. Subscribe if you want to explore more dark truths hidden behind childhood stories.